people who say analysis paralysis, those people are the people who think that if you make fast decisions, it's because you're in competition, because business is fundamentally and philosophically a competition, which means that you have to struggle for resources. No, you don't. It's mutualistic. Your business is to serve a vision that's to make everything mutual and prosperous. That's the purpose of your business. So already these people have made a mistake. They made a fast decision, invested massive amounts of money for a very short-term result that they're then coping with and trying to project that onto you so that you can adopt their ideas so that they can try to make money. Okay? And so here's a very different perspective from the most genius man on earth who has a $50 trillion evaluation for the future. And so here's what here's what I think about when I think about things. Here's what I thought about today so far. I was beginning to think about how hydrodomes, hydrobunkers, and hydrohomes, they all intermingle into one unit so that your bunker is connected to your biodome, your hydrodome, and heats the whole facility. Then I was thinking about how the bunkers could be used as, instead of, think about it as reverse, one second. Think about it as reverse skyscrapers. So your HR headquarters is down in the bunker. You have the offices, the corporate offices down below, and then up above, think of it like a mini mall. But it's not a mini mall. The biodome is we're talking about corporate here. And so we're not talking about residential, but it can be multi-use. So residential can be included for the people who work in corporate, can live in the residential, in the hydrohomes, the hydrodomes. But it's like a mini mall inside this giant hydrodomes where the businesses, you can have multi-use businesses. For example, hydrodental, you can have dental offices, and then on the other side of the dome, you can have a manufacturing plant. So the whole purpose of this, people like to reference Tesla for things. The whole thing is about being independent and using things to integrate with other things within your business so it becomes a self-sustaining loop that builds upon its own feedback. And so these domes would be used for many different aspects of the hydroverse so that you can save cost on money, save travel, resources, save time, save energy, and all sorts of stuff. Save travel for people who have to commute to work. And so that got me thinking, this is a very sophisticated and complicated process, and then we have to deal with multi-zoning. So then I was researching different people that can deal with zoning consultations and integrations all over the United States. And that would have to be with zoning and planning people. There's like several different specialists who do this. And those people often have to have long-term projects, which is very expensive. They expect high volumes of capital to do these because they lock you into these contracts, these long-term project contracts. And I'm not trying to go about that with someone who's starting the business from low revenue, zero revenue actually. Don't forget about that. Don't discredit me because I have zero revenue. That's the fast-term thinking idea that you have, is that you just crash and burn. But me, I'm building an empire. Analysis thriviticus. And so what happens is we're not going to go with that route because we don't have the capital to invest in dealing with these consultation experts. And so I was thinking about, well then, what about having corporate business strategists who deal with integration, who deal with business integration, what's the word? There was 3 different types that deal with this type of thing. There's just general people who deal with building your vision and helping you imagine what you're doing. That's very low level stuff. But then there's the people who are actually involved in implementation. So they're building integration systems, like not trigger links, that's like too simplistic, but they're building like maybe HR communicates like digitally with your manufacturing, and they build these most likely computer programs or communications between those and integrate with taxes and stuff probably. But then you have these other people who are they deal with they're like hires, COOs, chief organizational operators or whatever. They kind of do this as a internal role, and that's obviously with someone who has already developed a business and has the capital to invest in that. And so I'm still looking into different types of people to hire for consultations for this stuff, but being the genius mastermind of a new global system, there really isn't many consultations that you can hire because all these people are stupid compared to the genius behind it all. And so what needs to happen is more thinking, more time, more pre-planning, because that's how you deal with figuring out where you need to start. See, when you build it all, you figure out where the needle enters the haystack so that the needle can navigate throughout the whole haystack. That's a very, very bizarre analogy, and I might be the only person to ever do that analogy. But that's the genius behind the $50 trillion valuation of the future.